Greetings. I am back from Bali. For those of you who are watching me live, my t-shirt could not be more timely with the word grateful written across it. So excited to be back from my 10-day retreat from Bali, and I'm bringing to you guys a special episode on insights from my trip. As I speak to you a little nasally, I travel for 10 days. I go across the globe and catch nothing. I come home to kids with a cold, and now I've got one. So there you go. Pardon the nasaliness, if that's a word. So why, first of all, did I even go to Bali? And we're going to get into this today, but it was really about consciously surrendering and letting go of the reins. And I'll speak more to that in a minute. But what you're going to hear about in this episode today, the key takeaways that I'm going to talk about with my trip to Bali were, one, the concept of conscious surrendering. So we're going to talk about that, why I went on this journey. Number two, we're going to talk about lessons in traversing the unknown. We're also going to talk about the gratitude of the country and what I brought home from experiencing a level I'd never experienced before when it comes to gratitude. We're going to talk about experiences over things. We're going to talk about that. And then also the power of the energy and the energetic vortex, and just the key term energy as it relates to Bali. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So let's just jump right into the conscious surrendering piece, because I got a lot of questions from a lot of people who are like, oh my God, like, what are you doing going all the way across the globe to Bali? I've got these 3 little kids and these businesses. And well, my first response is, why the hell not? I actually love the life I've created and the schedule I've created, because I don't have to wait till I retire to hop a plane and spend 10 days somewhere experiencing a different culture in a different world. Not necessarily a different world, but it felt like a different world. And so why the hell not, right? But secondly, there actually was intention around it. And counterintuitive as it sounds, the intention was to surrender being in control. The intention was to stop holding the reins, being in charge, right? After an epic run, literally a week after closing down our launch, where we did nearly $1 million in sales in less than 2 weeks, becoming a best-selling author for the second time, all of this happening in the same month, right? It was time to slow down and ask the universe, what does it want from me? I've been so blessed. I have incredible clients who've said yes. What does the universe want more of? It was time to pause and listen about what's to come for 2024, right? What's the next level? What's ascension for me? What does growth look like? And unless you're still and create space to receive, how will you ever get clarity, right? So it was time for me to go there. And really, I'll tell you, and we'll talk a little bit about this later, but I was able to get massive downloads on my direction for the next year, right? And we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I would have never had the space had I not taken this trip to consciously surrender and be that creative and tap into my subconscious and create the space. I was consciously allowing to receive. I want to use this word, calculated receptivity, literally paving a path, creating space, blocking out all the noise so that I could receive and be a student, be an open vessel, because I spend the large majority of my days every day being the teacher, being the boss, being the mom, being the leader, being the decision maker, right? Being the visionary. And so it was a time to receive the gift and the bounty I had received from working hard, and receive the feminine principle of receptivity, right? So it was a beautiful place to receive, a spiritual place to receive. I will also say I've been on my own spiritual journey the past 2 years, and I have just been on this incredible high of connection to God, to my source, and was really, really enjoying that path and creating even more space and stillness to listen and communicate to my higher source and what the universe wants more of from me so that I can make a larger impact in this world. So hopefully that makes sense. That was my prime reason for going, number one, and number two, because I can. Okay. So what did I learn while I was there? What I learned is, again, I just want to recap on this, that we have to slow down, right, in order to receive, and actually slow down and give thanks. I'm going to talk a little bit about this in a minute, just the gratitude piece, but giving thanks. It's very easy. I caught myself and my whole team, like, we're done with launch. So we did almost $1 million in sales in less than 14 days. We became a best-selling author. 22 of our clients did. We jump on a call and literally we're talking about what's next. Literally, we're talking about the next launch. We're talking about the next goals. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's pump the brakes. Let's receive the bounty that has come our way. And let's consciously pause, right? In this space, and not just pause, but give thanks, give gratitude, right? The shirt, the gratitude, the magnanimity. I can't tell you how many times during that ride of success, right before I went to Bali, that I was literally on my knees, bawling with gratitude for what was manifesting in my life, right? And so this leads me to what was going on in Bali when I landed. See, they were in the midst of a 12-day celebration, and I didn't know this. I landed on their 12th day of celebration that was focused around gratitude. And this key day that I landed on was called Kinining Day. And it was so timely that I showed up on this day because so many locals were in the streets celebrating with gratitude. The children had the gongs and the bells, and they were dancing and they were singing, and they had these huge animal-like figures that they were all standing under and moving in the streets. And they have this key term that's called sucks manning in deep. Sucks manning in deep. And the term is, all thanks are given for the blessings during human life. For whatever has been achieved and found is important to be grateful. It gives me chills. I did not know when I landed in Bali on this day that this is what was going on. Yet I was on such a personal and spiritual and business high from my own life, and landing in Bali in an immense space of gratitude to literally pause and give freaking thanks, right? It was oozing out of the country. It's called the Island of God. There's more temples per square mile than anywhere on the planet. They ooze gratitude. Every house has a temple they give gratitude and an offering to every morning. When they get in their car, there's an offering to give thanks. Where they go for work has an offering on the front at an altar to give thanks, right? I attended a new moon ceremony that lasted for 3 hours, oozing with gratitude to Mother Earth, to the sky, to all that we have received. Literally just an energetic focus on thank you, thank you, thank you. And what I want to underscore here that was just eye-opening for me is that the average income in that country is $250 a month. $250 a month. See, the large majority of people who live on that island have never left it because they can't afford to get off the island. But one of the things I noticed is that there was no homelessness in the streets. Here at home, there's a lot of mental illness that contributes to a lot of homelessness, right? Even though we're the most abundant, gluttonous country in the world, there's this disproportionate amount of mental illness and homelessness. Even though in this country, the average person makes $250 a month, I didn't see anyone homeless begging for anything. All I saw was a culture of people with a huge grin and smile on their face, immensely grateful to be alive, immensely grateful for their island, for life, oozing with it. And as a matter of fact, one of the drivers told me, he said, I know the success that you Americans have. It comes at a cost. He said, it may sound crazy, but we're not jealous of your life. we know what comes with all that success. You have to keep up with all the things you buy. And the thing that really rung true to me is he said, you're here on a 10-day vacation because you need a break. He said, Americans have so much mental stress from their careers that they literally need to take vacation to get away from it. He said, us in Bali, we don't need a vacation. We love our lives. We work hard physically. We go to bed, we wake up, and we are so happy and we're ready to work again. We don't need vacation days. And I thought, wow, that was serious perspective, that he knows what monetary things are out there. He knows financially how successful some folks are, but they aren't jealous for it because they know that it comes at a cost. And there's such a happy, healthy culture, which now is so obvious to me because of their immense gratitude from the moment they wake to the moment they go to bed, right? Their mindset. They are literally programming their mind on a daily basis, oozing of gratitude, right? So good. Another thing I learned, the fear of the unknown is not so scary. You guys have heard me talk about this in entrepreneurship, so I'm going to fold in some analogies here, but believe it or not, I was nervous to travel to Bali all by myself. Beyond traveling to Canada and Mexico, I have not traveled internationally by myself ever, other than Canada and Mexico. I was in Europe over a decade ago with my husband, but I've never traipsed 36 hours on planes by myself somewhere to a foreign country where the native language isn't English, right? So there was a lot of unknown that had me really uncomfortable, and I almost didn't go for fear of getting stuck somewhere and not knowing the language and not being able to change planes. That may sound silly to some of you guys, right? But what I learned as I traversed the world and made it to Bali was that I had that power within myself to get there the whole time. I just needed to trust the process. I needed to trust myself. I needed to have confidence in myself. And by being willing to take that leap of faith, not knowing exactly what was on the other side, I didn't even know the people I was staying with. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It revealed to me a totally entire new portal of unknown when it comes to world travel. It opened my eyes. Prior to getting on that plane and traveling across the world by myself, I was unconsciously incompetent. I did not know what I didn't know about traveling the globe, and so I feared it. By traveling the globe, I became consciously incompetent, meaning I realized how little I knew about the rest of the world by traveling to this one geographic location across the world. Now I'm consciously realizing I'm incompetent in learning so many cultures, so many religions, so many cuisines, right? All the things. And so I know there's so much more to learn. And it's just like business. If we stay comfortable with what we know in business, we never tap into new portals for quantum expansion. Right? I'd never done over $300,000 in sales in a launch before I did almost $1 million in sales in a launch. I hadn't been there before, right? It was uncharted territory. I didn't know unless I got uncomfortable for the expansion of what was ahead. It's the same way with my travel. I didn't know until I tapped into those portals to see, right? And it was like, wow, I want to do this again. I've got so many places I want to go now, right? Another unknown that was really, really interesting for me. I didn't know who I was sharing my house with in Bali. I asked. I am like an Enneagram 8 who likes to be in control. And even though I was consciously surrendering, I still wanted to control who was there, because in my mind, I energetically wanted to be matched with successful entrepreneurs who were similar or further along than me, because I wanted to learn from them. I always say I like to be the dumbest, brokest person in the room, right? But that's business. And I had to remind myself I wasn't on this trip for business. I was on this trip spiritually and for personal growth. And what I realized is that some of the greatest growth happened for me from some of the most unsuspecting people that were in that room. What happened and transpired in this retreat was that the large majority of people there were about a decade younger than me and a number of steps earlier on than me in their business growth. And it was a priceless opportunity for me as a business owner to literally live in a house with people who are really exactly like the clients that I serve. You see, I get to coach my clients across Zoom. I get to see them on occasion at live events, but to live in a house with entrepreneurs who are in the early stages and hearing again and being reminded of the early level challenges, the mindset blocks, the personal growth that needs to happen, the journey that they have to embark on grounded me and got me more connected with my current clients. And there was actually a participant there who reminded me of my children. Okay. Her breakthroughs and her inner child work that we all did were a mirror to me as a parent with my kids back at home. And one of the first things I did when I got home was actually have direct conversations with my kids, right? There were other attendees there that were married. There were couples, and that reminded me of my husband and I and the journey that we're on together. And so where I'm going with this is that the unknown of who was in the group was the magic in my own personal growth of realizing I don't always need to be put into a room that's going to grow me in business. That many times it's the most unsuspecting people who can grow you personally, right? And professionally, right? Experiences over money. One of the things I noticed, again, we talked about the average income of $250 a month. I had on my vision board before the end of this year to buy a G-Wagon. And I came away from Bali realizing how little these people live with and how happy they are, and how a G-Wagon was not something I really needed. And as a matter of fact, even though it's a nice car and I love driving it, let's be honest, those types of purchases are actually for ego and perception. Like literally buying something for what other people think about your status, right? Yes, I love the G-Wagon, but I have an Infiniti QX80, which is a really nice high-end car to begin with. And I started running the numbers and I was like, this first class, because mama went first class, this first class trip to Bali was bar none the best investment because I was so comfortable. I slept all the way there. I slept all the way back. I was so rejuvenated and full of energy when I got there. I started running the numbers and I'm like, a family of 5, we could take 3 to 4 first class flights across the globe to like South Africa, to Australia, to Thailand, instead of an ego purchase of a G-Wagon, right? And so my mindset really shifted around things. And I've always had more of a focus on experience, but my ego wanted the G-Wagon, right? My ego wanted the G-Wagon. The last thing I want to land on here was the energy vortex of Bali. For those of you guys who are into the energy and body work, I have been over the last 2 years in a major growth in what we call spiritual ascension. And I and my energetics coach, my spiritual coach, talked about this. The day I got there, we did some really deep holotropic breath work that can really get at the root of your nervous system. And I had some huge energetic releases, huge. I can't even explain to you the jolts that came out of my body, the outer body experiences that I had, and even just like how unsettled my legs were the first 2 days, really working to release these last final shedding of old energy to this like final level in this level of ascension that I'm going through. It was mind-blowing and incredible. But Bali is an energy vortex similar to Sedona, for those of you guys who research that type of stuff. The energy healers there were incredible. Coming from kind of a Western medicine, PharmD training, I found it fascinating, the body workers who practice Chinese medicine and could literally rub their hands on my belly, check my pulse and look at my tongue and tell me when my period was going to start, how healthy my heart was, how my lipids were, right? Like, it was mind blowing how they practice medicine in a completely different way and get the same results, right? And so we did a lot of work, energy work, some really incredible spiritual ceremonies, cacao ceremonies, people from across the globe there for their spiritual journey and connectedness, this universal connectedness. It wasn't one single religion. It wasn't just Buddhism or Hinduism or Muslim or Christian. It was really just spirituality and connectedness to all, right? And purpose, which leads me to that consciously allowing time where I was able to slow down, listen to my intuition, and get the tugs, get the cues. I've had this gut pull all year, but I got profound cues and signs for my next chapter, for impact for others in business, in their life. And I actually completely birthed an entirely new program while I'm there, all the way down to the month by month curriculum. And because I created the space and I cleared the energetic path, I accomplished creating the vision, the output, and a program literally within 2 to 3 days that, had I tried to just force myself to figure it out while being at home in the chaos and the push and the leading of my team and the coaching of my clients, it would have taken me months and likely wouldn't have had the exact clarity and connection and tethering to the anchor of the output of it spiritually and impact, right? And I know I'm going super woo for some of you guys, but it was life-changing. And so where I'll land with that is I birthed a new program. It won't be coming out till the new year. It's going to be, I haven't even named it yet, but it's going to hinge around the modern entrepreneur, where bodies build businesses with mind, body, and spirit for expansion in business. And I am bringing in the absolute experts who've helped me ascend over the past 2 years in mind, body, and spirit, that has created massive expansion, where I've grown my business 400% since last year while getting the healthiest and the happiest I've ever gotten. And those were the major downloads I had while I was in Bali. Is it's not just business strategy. This program is not going to be another guru telling you exactly the business strategy. It's going to be about learning to tap into your own intuition and get connected, so that you can make the next steps confidently from your internal North Compass, right? And I'll be hinging on a lot of the scientific background I have around nervous system dysregulation and the modalities to get regulated so that energetically we are on fire, right? Oh my gosh, I could talk about this forever, but speaking of being on fire, this girl has to wrap up because I've got a coaching call in 2 minutes. That is my recap for you from my trip from Bali. If you're curious or inspired about my upcoming program, there will be some information in the show notes about getting on the wait list, or you can email us at teamburnout@teamburnouttooallout.co. You can email us at teamburnout@teamburnout.co. So hope to see you guys on our next episode, or see you live somewhere. If you're watching this recently, I hope to see you in Nashville in a couple of weeks. Some of the core collaborators for this future program next year are going to be speaking on stage in Nashville. I cannot wait. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon.